I heard her laugh before I heard the words. A sharp, careless sound that sliced through the quiet of the living room like a blade grazing skin. She stood by the doorway, scrolling through her phone, oblivious to the way my world had already collapsed that morning. I had buried my dog, my shadow, my last thread of softness, just hours earlier. My hand still smelled like the earth I shoveled onto him. She glanced up at me, saw the redness in my eyes, and rolled hers like I'd inconvenienced her. "Men crying is such an ick," she muttered. "Be a man. It's just a dog." Just a dog. The phrase landed with the weight of a confession, one she didn't even know she was giving. I felt something inside me shift, quietly, irreversibly. I wiped my face, not for her, but for myself, because suddenly I didn't want her to see anything human left in me. "Understood," I said. Only that. Just a single, clipped word. She didn't hear the fracture beneath it. She didn't see the moment I stopped being hers. She just went back to her phone, laughing at something someone else said, while the last warm thing in my life was still cooling in the ground. And in that hollow, echoing space inside me, a suspicion I'd ignored for months finally found its voice. Not about her capacity for cruelty. I already knew that. Something else. Something darker. Something that had been waiting for me to finally stop defending her. And I did. Right then. In absolute silence. It started with the messages she never let me see. The numbers she saved without names. The nights she came home smelling faintly of a cologne I didn't own. I'd noticed, of course I noticed. But I had a dog who looked at me like I was enough, and somehow that made the questions easier to swallow. Now, he was gone, and I was done swallowing anything. The betrayal wasn't a sudden explosion. It was a quiet, steady drip. Too subtle to drown me all at once, but enough to rot the foundation beneath my feet. A half-erased text preview. A slip of the tongue about a place she forgot she'd been. A picture in her gallery that vanished the day after she smiled too hard at her screen. I felt the truth circling me like a predator too patient to pounce. A dog dies. A mask slips. And everything you've been denying finally stands still long enough for you to look it in the eye. She wasn't just cold. She wasn't just detached. She was living a life parallel to mine. And she thought I'd never notice. She thought I was too soft, too loyal, too distracted by the things she didn't value. But grief sharpens. Loss clarifies. The morning after I buried him, I woke up with a stillness I'd never felt before, and I knew exactly what I needed to do. I didn't confront her. People like her thrive on theatrics. Instead, I became quiet, colder, observant. I checked her phone records, hours of calls to a number she always answered outside. I synced her cloud to my laptop. Photos she thought she'd deleted lived there, untouched. I tracked her location history, private dinners, hotel bars, nights that didn't match her stories. Every discovery felt like another handful of dirt hitting an unmarked grave, the grave of whatever us used to mean. She didn't notice my silence. She mistook it for grief. I let her. At night, I'd lie beside her, listening to her breathe, and wonder how many times she'd lied to my face with that same steady rhythm in her chest. I became a man studying a crime scene, one where the body was my own trust, mutilated enough that even I couldn't recognize it. And through it all, I kept my voice even, my expression blank. Because the truth doesn't need chaos, it just needs patience. The final piece arrived through a synced folder she didn't know existed. A video. Her, laughing in a way she never did with me. Sitting too close to a man whose hands were far too familiar with the shape of hers. I watched it once, then again. Not to torture myself, just to confirm the accuracy of the inevitable. That evening, I placed my laptop on the table and hit play. She walked in, paused, froze. Her voice cracked first. Where did you—" I raised a hand, silenced her without speaking. I didn't yell, didn't shake, didn't ask why. I just looked at her as if she were already gone. Because she was. I packed her bags with the same calm I used burying my dog. Methodical, emotionless, final. I set them by the door, handed her the truth, told her nothing else. She begged, cried, collapsed. I didn't touch her. Instead, I donated her designer wardrobe to the same animal shelter I'd supported for years. Every silk and leather piece folded into boxes labeled with my dog's name. When she realized what I'd done, she sobbed for those clothes harder than she'd ever cried for me. "Can I at least have my Gucci belts back?" I walked past her, opened the door. "Leave." She stood on the porch, shaking, waiting for some version of the man she'd known to reappear. But grief had burned him clean. I felt nothing. Not anger, not relief, just a cold, precise understanding. She had underestimated the quiet man, the loyal man, the man who finally learned how to walk away without looking back. As she stumbled down the steps, clutching whatever she had left, I closed the door behind her. Softly. Finally. And in the silence that followed, I realized something simple. I didn't lose her. I released her. And I never wanted her back.